So hello and welcome to the Feminine Archetype Summit, where we're bringing together the fragmented aspects of the Divine Feminine. My name is Crystal Alexander Hill and I'm your host, and today it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Anaiya Sophia, who will be talking to us about the Marys. So let me tell you a little bit about her first. She is an independent mystic of an almost forgotten faith and a teacher of Kundalini Yoga. She carries an oral transmission from the sacred feminine mysteries, which she weaves into all of her gatherings. This mystical tradition is a continuous lineage of feminine principles that throughout the centuries has preserved its spiritual dignity, without need for permission or recognition from any other source. She is the author of 6 books and lives in the south of France with her husband Pete, where they run an Airbnb. Welcome, Anaiya. It's such an honor to have you.
Thank you so much, Crystal. It is an absolute like-minded, hearted feeling to be here with you.
Absolutely. And, I'd love you to share a little bit about this tradition that you're coming from and the journey into how you are, being aware of and embodying all these amazing archetypes and mystical traditions.
Well, all of this is coming from my own gnosis, which means my own direct contact. It doesn't mean any of it's true for anyone else. What I understand, what I feel in my heart, goes all the way back to the creation myth of Lilith and Eve. And they were carrying a particular awakened state, obviously, and through them a lineage, feminine lineage, passed down through mothers and daughters, has been preserved. And when we hear of this lineage, those of us who are connected, whether it's through imagination or blood or spiritual ancestry, we'll hear this story and we'll go, oh, that's me. So it's an awakened feminine wisdom that contains Eve, Lilith, Isis, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, the Black Madonnas, Sarah, the daughter.
And how did you become aware of this? I mean, you already said it was something that sort of channeled through to you. Have you had any of this pass on from your own mother, or is this literally awoken within you and you are obviously part of this soul lineage of those women?
For me, it's more of a soul feeling. It's not, I'd love to say I was bloodline, but no, yes. It's a soul thing. And it was touched at the age of 7 when I saw a beggar on the steps of the Sacré-Cœur in Paris. And I ran to him. And there was an absolute moment where I touched his hands. His hands were cupped as if asking for food or money. And I touched his hands as a child. And he looked up. And there was an absolute awakening transmission in that moment. But it wasn't so much like a spiritual awakening. It was a heart awakening. It's like the doors of my heart flew open in that moment. And I guess that's when I became in contact with a Christ-like sacred heart energy. And that was the beginning. Spent the rest of my life seeking that again. And where do I get some more of that from?
Yes, yeah, amazing. So yeah, let's talk about the Marys. Let's talk about Mary as the beloved, as the first one to talk about, and how, firstly who she is, and then how we recognize her within ourselves as well.
Well, I mean, it's very good news because Mary Magdalene is starting to be recognized now quite openly as Jesus's wife and the apostle of the apostle. And even the church last year recognized her feast day on the 22nd of July. But I suspect that she's still held in the psyche of people as being maybe a little bit passive, a little bit in his shadow, a serving wife or beloved or companion, maybe a little bit rebellious, but probably nowhere near what I imagine her to be. I imagine her to be the tantric Mary. So she was a priestess carrying wisdom of the temple sacred tantric arts. And it was that she was gifting Yeshua so that he could be fully prepared to withstand that full-blown initiation called crucifixion. And all of this was passed into his body through her tantric know-how that included very blatant sexuality. So I'm saying, let's not see Mary in his shadow. Let's bring Mary right out to his side, or face her forward as in some kind of guiding role, which is what's in my heart.
Yes.
And let's see Mary as a full-blown tantric initiator of bodily potential and soul potential. She prepared him. That's what I and that is what I feel is coming back to us women now. This sincere and authentic tantric understanding. But it's only one piece of a 3-part vision.
So maybe in that, give us the overview first of how you see them, the three of them working together, before we go more deeply into how that's relevant for us today.
Yeah. Well, I see the 3 Marys as 3 different feminine energies, which are within us all. So we have Mary Magdalene, the tantric aspect. We have Mother Mary, which is the virgin aspect, but that doesn't mean virgin who hasn't had sex. That means virgin as in crystallized, authentic purity, but not purity as in submissive, but purity as in unsullied, untainted, unblemished. And then, of course, we have the Black Madonna, which is coming very much into our vocabulary now, which would be sacred rage, the fierce feminine, standing up for justice. And all 3, so Mary Magdalene I see as a red energy, Mother Mary, golden, Black Madonna, black. So red, gold, black, 3 qualities of the fully blown, Christed feminine that it would be fabulous to awaken within us at this time.
Yes. I'm curious to find out more about this purity of, in Eros dancing, there's a thing called Dancing Eros here in Australia, and they talk about these 5 sexual archetypes, and one of them is the maiden. And from what you're describing to me, it sounds like that is like a little bit of an energy of the maiden, that purity. Do you have an example of where we would find that, and where we would activate that, and where we would need that in our lives, that the Virgin Mary?
Well, the way I see Mother Mary is I see her as absolute courage, like innocent courage. She may not have known fully what she was walking into, what she was saying yes to, but her heart was so courageous, so faithful, that she just said yes. And apparently she was 12 years old when she agreed to take on the conception of Yeshua. It's a 12-year-old girl. And how do I find that quality? I find that quality when I just go back and back and back and back to what I call my sacred origins. Way before being, designated as a human being, way before being designated as a female human being, but just back to that quiet, gentle place, my origins, the first thought of life through this character that we see here. And that is where I find that innocent courage, that maiden, that purity. And it's grabbing that from the inside and doing our utmost to bring it here and now into the 3D.
Yes, and it does require so much courage, doesn't it? As you were talking, saying, yes, this purity and open-heartedness
Yeah,
requires so much courage and the ability to know ourselves, to just be.
yeah,
That's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. And we got all this conditioning out
Yes.
the front,
Yes.
and on and off switch. I am loving, I'm not loving. I am trusting, I'm not trusting. So, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so the Black Madonna,
Mm,
where do we find her?
wow. Well, I believe this is what's going to be next year's work for us all, which is Sophia's feminine or sacred rage. What I have provided for myself, because I live here in the Pyrenees, it's very remote at this time of the year. There's no tourists here. So we got plenty of open space. So I had to access my own sacred rage a few months ago. So, of course, I found myself a mountain, and it was an old Knights Templar stronghold. So I went there to try and get into contact with my sacred rage and to surrender into the arms of the goddess Kali. Kali and the Black Madonna, same quality. And so I huffed and I puffed and I breathed and I sounded, and at first it sounded ridiculous. I sounded like a squealing pig. It wasn't authentic at all. But I promised myself to go further, go further past the line and throw myself into the unknown. And then it absolutely and utterly happened. And I had two good female friends with me and my husband, Pete. And that is what did it. Their support. They were rallying around, encouraging, not judging, not laughing. I didn't feel humiliated or under some sort of microscope at all. And that is when I realized, wow, this can only be done in circle. To have our female friends willing us on, knowing it's where we all have to go. We all have a silencer on the voice. We've been told to be good and polite and well-mannered and agreeable, depending, of course, what age we're at. But I'm 47 and very much came into that age of be pleasant, be smiley, be in agreement with everybody, make everybody feel amazing. And of course, when it's time for sacred rage, that's not the intention. The intention is to pull up something primordial and right and good, and to speak out or sound out for all the injustices that are everywhere around us.
Mm.
And that took a lot of bravery to allow myself to become that wild.
Yes. And so your support team was cheering you on as you were breaking down, breaking through layer by layer and deeper and deeper and deeper into that primordial.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
And
mm,
it was amazing because something came through them as well. One of them started moving her hands in the air, drawing on dragon energy, is what she said afterwards. The
mm,
other one was praying, loudly and powerfully. Started off in English, went into another language. And then, as the emotions were coming, she was crying with me. It was incredible, Crystal. Personally, I've never seen us humans react in such a way. Uh, and yet it was familiar.
yes.
It was like a wild shamanic lioness circle. And Pete just stood there,
Mm,
unmoving, holding that masculine pillar. And for me, he represented a Templar knight who was saying, go, do, come on.
yes.
I'm here. I've got your back. This is what we need.
And how did your life change after that as a result, like in terms of you speaking and communicating and having that ability to access that Black Madonna?
I now feel protected on so many levels. I have my own inner protectress. And my fear was if I accessed this, that I might actually turn to the dark side, that the power might be so much that I might start to manipulate it and actually use it to hurt someone or something. So I was scared of batting for the other side. But what I noticed is that I was protected from that. I could feel myself going there in my own mind, but it never got said. It never got verbalized. And then I realized this archetype is protecting me from my own personal shadow self. It won't allow me to weave that part of me into the mix. No, no, no.
Wow.
This is sacred rage. And this is what I was saying at the beginning of the interview. It's not about harming anyone or anything. It is completely non-harmful, but it will obliterate denials, lies, secrets, but only the material, not the person. So the person who might be denying, lying, or cheating, they don't feel personally attacked, but they know that their whole structure has just fallen.
That is such an important distinction, isn't it? That the divine rage, the divine warrior, that Black Madonna is not attacking a person. She is attacking a behavior that is not okay. Yes. And that is only possible when it's the divine, because the wounded within us would attack the person.
Oh, yes, yes. I was conniving and planning all sorts of things, but not one word came out. That's amazing. And that's what I was worried about the most. Whether I would jump on the back of this and surf with my own vengeance.
And why do you think that didn't happen? Was it because you set such a clear intention and you had that container?
I really did pray at the beginning. I actually went down on my knees and prayed as a child, and actually said to Carly, I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid of exactly this. I'm going to surf on your energy, and I'm going to do something wicked, but, brilliantly cover it with some sort of spiritual bypass, because, I'm very good at that.
We all are.
I was I had a little walnut chin, and I was very much in child energy rather than goddess or priestess energy. So it was a beautiful, humble moment, and I believe that is what kept me safe. If I'd have gone in there as a fully, packed together adult woman, imagining herself to be a bit of a priestess and here to save the world, that could have been, oh my God, I hate to think where that could have gone. But I'm just so grateful. I was so scared that I just dropped immediately into surrender and did a big old humble prayer first, and I believe that's what did it.
I would love to hear, since you've shared such a beautiful personal story about activating the Black Madonna within you, how you have done the same for that purity, the mother.
Yes.
How did she come into your life?
I believe the virgin aspect has come through the channel of animals. I am a fully blown animal lover, and that was also seeded within me through my own mum, my own biological mother. And allowing my heart to be so deeply touched by the animal kingdom, and then allowing not only their love in, but allowing my love to come out. And that's a nice little mix of the Virgin Mary and the Black Madonna. I occasionally, quite often actually, can see cruelty to animals being enacted in cafes, in supermarkets, on the streets. And I think I'm quite attuned to it. I get drawn to it. I see it. And of course, the challenge is, am I going to say anything? And this has been such a theme my whole life, because I'm so connected to the animals, and I've seen cruelty so many times as a younger woman, and I've actually turned away, literally turning my head or turning my back, because I felt so afraid to challenge the seemingly authoritative human that was in charge of this animal or in care of this animal. And this has driven me wild, the fact that I have this ability to turn. And so, coming into mid-30s, early 40s, that ability to turn is simply not there anymore. And it takes a humongous heart trust. So the Virgin Mary is tapping on the heart saying, look here, look at what is happening to this animal. And it's breaking my heart on the inside. And I might be in public, in the cafe. And then, of course, Black Madonna will charge in from the back. And lo and behold, I'm standing up. The chair is being slid out the way. I'm coming towards that person. Again, not to harm them, not to humiliate them, not to judge them, but to simply stop what is happening from carrying on. And I'll say something like, this is not okay, whether he or she understands me or not. And I'll crouch down and protect the animal. If he wants to hit the animal, he will have to hit me first. And that's not going to happen in a cafe scene.
Yes.
Yes, I'm allowing these animals to break my heart. And my God, it's worse than any beloved. Human heartbreak is easy compared to animal heartbreak for me.
Yes. So for me, where I don't have that immediate access to animals, what might that be for somebody like, it could be children. Like for me, I think it's children. I've just, it could be the children. If I'm a mother, and it's about just looking at the children, and that purity then opens up. So that could be one other pathway. Can you think of another pathway for younger women that they might be able to access that Mother Mary quality?
It could be the environment. It could be Fukushima, that was a big one for me. Any sort of raping of the environment and our oceans and our forests, or it could be refugees, something that was happening in England not so long ago, preventing people from coming in, starving, desperate people. It's going to be something of that nature. It won't be ourselves. We don't get called into sacred action for ourselves. It's going to be a vast topic, so that when it comes into the heart, it's really going to widen it. And I never had children, so I never got the chance to have that child connection. But I can see now through the animals, my God, if I had have had a child, black mama bear. Okay, now I got it. Now I understand.
Yes. Yeah. So I love that, the way that those two are working together. And we've spoken a little bit at that, and I think everybody can understand that now. What is the third, like that sensual tantric Madonna? How does she fit into this picture that we've just created of taking this sacred action of standing up for the planet, for the animals, for children?
Well, she would be working tantrically within us, sexually within us. So, for instance, you mentioned a moment ago that you suspected there could have been a wall in the heart between you and the animal kingdom. So let's just say you really got into that and recognized, yes, it's true. I do feel a wall there. Then what you would do is you would call on that tantric Mary Magdalene, go into a sexual liaison with your beloved, with your tantric partner, and instead of concentrating so much on orgasmic pleasure, you would channel that orgasmic pleasure to that wall and be willing to let the wall be not only touched, but taken down brick by brick by brick. And you would use all of that sexual, sensual energy to go to that part of your body. So the Tantric Mary brings us a medicinal awareness via the sexual force to open, heal, activate, and strengthen our physical bodies.
Yes.
And that's why we've been playing around, I guess, in the sexual arena, just focusing on the pleasure side. Like, wow, I just had 3 orgasms. That was great. And we've got all these blocks in us, and there's parts of our body that's hurting or not open. And what the Tantric Mary tells us is awaken your whole body. Use my serpentine sexual force to heal your neck, to heal your heart, to straighten your spine, to totally open up your glandular system, to soothe your nervous system. Become a divine human with this medicine I bring you. And that just changes everything.
Yes, yes, exactly. And it's that intention that we can have while before we engage in that lovemaking, whether it be with a beloved or by ourselves, because not everybody has a beloved. So we can use that, cultivate that sexual energy by ourselves as well, right?
Yes, in dancing.
Yes.
I mean, after this call, I'm going to do an hour's wild, passionate dancing, totally bringing my sexuality into my body through a devotional, rapturous offering to the beloved. And at the same time, concentrate on my stiff neck and my stiff hips, all the elements in my body. And I promise you, at the end of the dance, I won't feel any of it.
Yes. These have been such amazing tools, and I feel like we've really got that complete picture now. So thank you so much for sharing so personally and deeply as well. And I know that you have a free offer for everyone, and I briefly listened into it, and it's absolutely amazing. I'd love you to share a little bit more about what that is.
The birth of a Mary is going back to a very biblical story. So if you just imagine that we are maybe a Mary, and we are being shunned and ridiculed and cast out and stoned. So that moment where Mary Magdalene is stoned to death, the Bible tells us that Yeshua intervened and stopped the stoning by writing something in the sand. Now, I have no idea what it was that he wrote in the sand, but all I know is the men who were stoning Mary Magdalene immediately stopped. Something very mystical was written in the sand. So if we suspect we are of this lineage, for those of us listening, this transmission will take us to a place on the inside where we could have that similar awakening realization, where we allow ourselves to feel, oh my God, I am part of this lineage. I am here to awaken to something and then to contribute it out into the world. And you've been running from it your whole life and it doesn't go away, obviously. So this transmission may be everything you need to hear to finally accept what you already know. So it's a dangerous transmission because it could bring you face to face with what you already know.
Thank you so much for that. And we're going to head over to the All Access membership site where we're going to do a secret interview, and we'll keep it secret for now, because yes, we'll keep it secret for now, what that might be. And again, I want to thank you so much for being here, Anaiya.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you.
And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And really, there has been so much richness and depth and even transmission in this conversation. So just go over it again. What was your highlight? What are you taking into your life from this before you move on to the next interview? What is that for you that you wish to activate within your life? Which archetype? Bye for now.